Today I thought I would show you how I made this Get Well card with the butterflies on using watercolour pencils. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the largest and the smallest butterfly onto my Fiscus stamp press. Doesn't matter where I put them because we're going to cut them out. And then using my Memento Tuxedo black ink, I'm going to ink them up really well. Okay, just making sure you get a really good coverage of ink. And then I'm going to stamp those onto my piece of white card. Now this white card is actually just some Hobbycraft white card. It's quite a large pack, you can get for £10 I think it is. And actually I find it really good quality, and it's fine for using the watercolour pencils on. You don't get too much bleed or the paper buckling. So even pressure all over the stamp, and then when you lift it up we've got a really nice stamped image. So I'm using all these warm colours, so reds, orange, yellows, and I'll also need a black. Okay, and I'm going to be using one of these water brushes that you can fill up the reservoir with some water. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is the larger butterfly, which if we look at the sample you can see it's orange in the centre and then yellow on the outside. So very simply I'm going to take one of my yellow pencil crayons, and not particularly neatly but following the shape of the butterfly's wings, so kind of making it a fan shape. I'm going to colour in. Now I actually use my finger sometimes as a little bit of a stopper, so I put it on the edge of the image just so I can colour quickly without going out. Now it's habit really, I don't actually need to do it on this particular one because I'm going to cut it out. Okay, so we need a bit of yellow around the outside, and then we need a little bit of orange, just a touch of orange. So this is kind of like a medium orange. Again, it doesn't need to be neat because you're going to be blending it, but I'm trying to keep it in this radiating pattern from the butterfly's body. And then finally you need quite a dark kind of tomatoey red right in the middle here. Okay, quite intense amount of colour just in the middle, like that. Okay. Then I need my water brush, which I'll just squeeze out onto the side just to make sure it's working. And then I'm just going to start with the yellow, blending it in. Okay, around the outside. I'm just doing the yellow, just putting water on it so it's loose. Then I'm going to start pulling in a bit of the orange. Now, you don't want to go straight into the middle and work your way out, because what I find then is that you actually, on this particular butterfly anyway, you would lose too much of the yellow. We actually, on this particular one, want to retain the yellow. So just working your way in slowly. Again, I'm just using the same technique of radiating out from the middle. Okay. Now I feel like I'm taking a bit too much red from the middle, so I'm just going to wipe my brush on the side, then go back and carry on pulling out. You don't want any harsh lines, just want it all to blend into one another. So that's the one I've done. And then you can see the original. Okay, so do the same on this side. Do the yellow first, loosen the yellow so that the orange will mix with it easily. Just loosening all the yellow up, then slowly start mixing in a bit of the orange. And stick into using this radiating brush design movement, sorry. Just notice I missed a bit there. Finally going into the middle and bringing a bit of that out as well. Okay, and then for the body we just want to apply some black. We want it to be quite dark, the body, so we'll put quite a bit of the black on there, and let's pull that bit off there, just dab it slightly just to give it a bit of an even coverage. And while you've got a bit of black on there, you can just pull a tiny bit out into the butterfly for a bit of shading. Put a tiny little bit underneath this second wing, the lower wing, gives it a bit of shading like so. Just mix it in really well, just a little bit of shading, that's all you need. Okay, and then just around the edges, put a little bit of black, just literally a little line of black around the edges, and then maybe a little bit onto some of the spots, just to darken them down a little bit. And then go back in and just blend that black into the edges. If you look at butterflies, actually a lot of them have a kind of darker colour on the edges as well as on the spots. So when I was colouring these, I actually looked at some pictures on Google Images just to get an idea. They're not a real representation of a living butterfly or moth, but it just gives a bit of an idea. And don't forget you've put a bit of black on those spots. Okay, so that's one butterfly done. Now our second butterfly, again if I bring this back in, it's a lot more intense on the red and orange in the centre and a bit paler around the outside. It doesn't have the yellow either. So this time I'm going to go for this really pale orange around the outsides of our butterfly. I don't need to go that far in with this one because the orange is really just on the tips of its wings. Okay, and then I'm going to go for this quite pinky red in the middle, and again the radiating pattern. And if you press on quite hard, you get a lot of the pigment out. You don't actually need to go all the way into the space you want to fill. Now this time we want more of the red colour and less of the orange, so this time I'm going to start with the darker colour and work my way out. So again, just make sure my water's flowing. Wet the darker colour this time, make sure all of it's nice and wet, and then just start pulling it out to meet where the orange is. Just pull it out to meet the orange. Okay, and then just whip across the top of the orange really lightly. Okay, it doesn't matter too much that we've gone out of the lines. Okay, and this time you can see we've actually got the predominant colour is the red, the pinky red. So again, just wet all the pinky red ink, the pigment, pull it out to the orange with your water brush, and then mix the orange in, like so. So we get mostly the reddy colour and then a little bit of orange. So there you can see that's this one. Now also if you look on here, again I've added some black definition around the edges. So taking my black pencil crayon, I'm going to put some black around the edges like so. A bit on the body as well, darken that down. Bring it round the edges like so. And just underneath that wing, just to show that there's two separate wings, just get your water pen again. This time I'm not going to soften it down as much as last time. I'm going to keep quite a defined black line around my butterfly. Okay, just like this, there we go. And there you can see the basis of my watercolour butterflies. So there's my original and here's the one I've just done now. Now those colours do soften a little bit when they're dry, so they look a bit paler when they're finished. Okay, now you also notice on here there's some glitter, which we're going to do in a minute. But first of all, I need to cut these butterflies out. Here are the butterflies I've cut out. As you can see, I've actually cut their antenna off. I don't think it's realistic to cut those out really, so I've cut those off, but don't worry, we're going to put something back in. Now, before we add the glitter, I'm just going to take an orange pencil crayon on this one and add just a touch more colour, just a touch, like so, just to give it a bit of a sharp colour, and I'll just blend that out. Okay, just once it's dried, sometimes it just kind of gets a little bit paler than you're anticipating. just don't blend it out completely because it's quite nice to have the lines in there. And then on this one I'm just going to add a little bit more of the red. Again, sticking to the radiating lines when I'm applying it, and just pop a little bit of water on top of that just to pull it out. Right, so again, this is the cut we're working towards. So for the little butterfly, I've done two different glittering techniques. So the little butterfly, I just took some stickles. This happens to be icicle. Any of the iridescent ones work quite nicely. Just want a splodge really on each side, and then I've actually got a larger water brush. So just use a little bit of water to spread that iridescent glitter all over your butterfly. Don't worry too much about being precise. You can use your finger. The only trouble is then you get the glittery finger. Okay, so that one's done. Now what I tend to do while it's wet is I'm going to want it to be bent later on. So I just put a gentle fold in the middle, and then it will dry like that, and it will actually stay like that, or it'll be more inclined to stay like that. So that's the first one. My second butterfly, if you can see on this example here, I've actually put the glitter in certain areas. So to do that, I'm going to use a quickie glue pen. So I've got a little piece of scrap paper. I'm going to take the quickie glue pen. And again, this idea of radiating lines, so I'm going to start in the middle, just applying in a random way, glue coming out from the middle of the butterfly. Not putting loads on, just putting a little bit. And then in the middle of this one I'm actually going to use this orangey gold. So it's just a sprinkling over the middle. Okay, shake that off. You can see it just gets a little touch in the middle. Pop that back in there. And then I'm going to use this more kind of yellowy gold really, I suppose. It's not a silver, it's quite a soft gold. I'm going to use that around the outside. So again, just following the lines of the butterfly that we've been following when we coloured him in. Just put some lines around the outside. To work quite quickly because the quickie glue pen does actually dry quite quickly. Sprinkle this around the outside. Really need a little bit. Just kind of sparkles it up. So that goes around the outside. Give that a little shake off, and there you can see is a glittered butterfly in the middle and the outside, and there is two tones to that glitter, which is quite a nice effect. Okay, so now we've got our butterflies. I'm going to, if you can see here, I'm going to stamp a background and pop the butterflies on. Okay, so for the background I'm going to use the Stampin' Up! Summer Silhouettes. I'm going to use this leaf 3 times, and I'm going to use this little tiny flower here as well. And then as a sentiment I'm going to use the Stampin' Up! Teeny Tiny Sentiments, and I'm going to use the Get Well Wishes. So this piece of card is just smaller than A6. My finished card will be A6, the top opening, so my mat needs to be just a little bit smaller. Okay, so I've already cut that. I'm then going to take the leaf from the Stampin' Up! Set, and I'm going to use a fairly light green, which is the Memento Bamboo Leaves. I'm going to stamp all over with this, and then I'm going to use Olive Grove, which is a slightly darker green, just to touch the edges of the leaves. Just gives a little bit of definition to it. So my first leaf is going to go across this corner. I'm sure it won't work out quite the same as the last one. Okay, so you can see the two-tone effect there. So again, the lighter one first, and then just randomly touch the dark one on the edges. Okay, and then that's going to go across here. And then once more, light green first, dark green on the corners, and then that's going to finish off going this way. So I filled up my mat quite nicely. Then I'm going to use this quite soft yellow, it's cantaloupe with a little burst. On this, I don't know if you can just see here, there are little tiny green dots which look to me like why they're supposed to be a flower, so I'm going to pop my flowers on one of those, but I'm also going to pop another one at the top of the leaf as well. That's here. And again, because it's quite soft, it doesn't matter too much if you don't do it perfectly. Okay, so this is my background. So here you can see this, and you can see this one. I'm going to pop my sentiment on, which is the Get Well Wishes. So it's a teeny tiny sentiment, so it is very small. Use my black memento. I'm just going to pop that in the corner here, just at the bottom of that stalk. And then I need to use some of these Anita little pearls here. Some of these little yellow pearls that are in here. Just pop a few of those out because those are going to go into my leaf centres. So I'm going to stick those on. I've stuck my pearls on. I've not actually stuck any on these bottom flowers because if you look at the original card, that's actually where the butterfly is going to sit. So I'm going to take a little bit of fast drying glue, just pop that onto just the body part of my large butterfly. Okay, pop him down on here like so. And then I'm going to take my little butterfly, which was bent from before, pop a bit of glue onto that body, and pop that one just up here. Okay, I've got a black fine lighter, 0.3, and I'm just going to draw in the antennae. Then I'm going to use my AGT gun to put some glue onto this A6 yellow card base. I could pop it up on foam pads, but I thought I have quite a lot of dimension with the butterfly, so I'll leave them quite flat. So I'm just going to pop that onto here, just doing a little border all the way around. And then it's almost finished. The only thing that I would add is inside I've actually just stamped the border from the stamp set and the little butterfly again. And that's the finished card. Thank you for watching. I hope you found that interesting and useful. I look forward to hearing your comments and any other suggestions about videos you'd like to see.